Can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Holding on slow!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Snowman in the Morning.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the terrific Taco Tuesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have y'all with us. Man, this has been fun because I also get to add Snowman in the Morning is now live on the On Tap Podcast Network. And thank you to Danny Bennett and the team there for making this happen. And there's a lot more that's going to happen. So welcome to those of you listening via the On Tap listening or watching via the On Tap Podcast Network. And thank you to those of you listening via Real Wise Radio and End Zone Sportsnet. And that man that's in charge of Call Sports now joins me from Tennessee. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. I'm doing really good this morning.
I got no complaints either. And again, let me welcome those of you. Let us welcome you. Welcome those of you listening via the On Tap Podcast Network. You know this is Super Bowl week, and the coverage is going to be out of control. So everybody wants to hear every word, every phrase, every sentence from the players. And though it is my desire to be on Radio Row, and we will make that happen in 2 years' time, doesn't it sometimes get nauseating to you? Or am I wrong on this one?
The best and worst, to me, media coverage day of the year is media day in Super Bowl, because it's good that you get the opportunity to get to see what the players are thinking, and by the time media day happens, it's 5 days before the game. So it's great that you get a feel for
which means today. Which is today.
Mm-hmm.
The circus is going to happen, and that's about
right.
The only way I can put it.
Right. It's good that you have the access to do that, but you just pointed out the negative of it. It becomes a three-ring circus when you get people who ask questions, such as, what was one that I can think of? I mean, these oddball questions like, do you know what happened in a certain day? And it has nothing to do with the game, has nothing to do with the athlete, which asked the question.
Nothing.
And many of these media types aren't even sports fans. They're not even signed in the world of sports. They're just trying to ask a question. They just ask them an asinine
question.
Yeah. So from that aspect, it's nauseating, like you said, and I agree with you. But to people like the two of us who, we love this and we love to get inside the mind of an athlete. Mm-hmm. It's for the exception of being around family, is nirvana.
And
especially being around God and family, it's nirvana for us.
The coverage of the Super Bowl has gotten crazier and crazier and crazier each year. Like you said, to those like you and to folks like you and I that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, burnt it when we got done with it, it's like it would be nirvana and a half to be at the Super Bowl. And like I said, 2 years from now, Cole and I will be in Las Vegas with our families on Radio Row, doing this show live from Las Vegas, because everybody at the On Tap Podcast Network and all of our radio stations, and yes, I said radio stations, and I took a shot there for a reason. I'll explain in a moment. We're going to be there in Sin City. I was hoping for Phoenix, Arizona, but that's next year, and I still got to get rid of cancer and tell it, get out of my house once and for all.
Vegas is fine. Although I would love to see Phoenix. Vegas is fine.
Vegas is fine? Okay. So y'all heard the mission. 2 years from now, Cole Johnson and I will be in Las Vegas covering the Super Bowl and doing this show all 5 days from Las Vegas. We're going to find a place to set up that ain't next to Colin Cowherd, that's not next to the folks that you know where, so I don't cuss today.
Oh, I was looking forward to hear you say that four-letter word.
What, ESPN? Dadgummit.
Yeah.
Dadgummit. Listen, you know what made me want Radio Row? Oddly enough, seeing ESPN do it with Mike and Mike.
See, yeah. That was
my nirvana each morning.
Yeah.
That was my nirvana each morning. All the locals, they can have it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is why we spread our sports coverage out. I was talking to Danny yesterday from Untitled Podcast Network, and thank you, Danny, for all of this. He said the original rollout was Snowman in the Morning on the Gridiron Untitled Podcast Network, but you guys talk more than football. And that's when it clicked. And when Untitled Podcast Network was formed, and I can't thank him and his bunch enough for making this happen. I got to put on my glasses. Wife told me, doesn't matter if I'm close or far, I got to put my glasses on. And plus, I'm on the verge of turning 50, so I got to be nice. There we go. Yeah, that's what made me want Radio Row. Seeing Mike and Mike do it, seeing his crew do it, you know? But after Mike and Mike split up, which still angers me to this day, for lack of a better phrase, I said, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. And someone dared me to put my thoughts out there. So 2013, well, actually before that, I had the Brian and Rich show with my buddy Rich Morgan. And then came the Afternoon Locker Room for about a year. But I wanted to have a morning show so I can compete with the big dogs and see where I am and see where I need to improve. Biggest addition for me, my friend, was you. Biggest addition was you. And I mean that. I mean that with everything in my heart.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And in many ways, you make the show fun again for me to do. And you, my friend, and I'm just heaping all types of praise on you during Super Bowl week, and I do it every day anyway. You, my friend, gave me a reason to get up in the morning and finish my prep and turn everything on and get you on the line and roll through 120 minutes of sports talk every day. And when the official announcement came, we were picked up by On Tap, and also picked up by Let's Talk Sports. Man, I was in hog heaven, as the phrase goes. But the folks at On Tap made this possible. And you, my friend, made it possible for me to love doing sports talk 5 days a week again. I mean that from the heart. I mean that from the heart.
Good. Good. I'm glad I was able to be any type of influence on you to spark what's been in you basically your whole life. So thank you.
And
I appreciate that.
It's like you said, our voices needed to be out there. They really did. They really needed to be out there. So let's go get them. Let's sick them and bring it and improve. And then use the hashtag Mission Las Vegas.
Okay.
How about that? Mission Las Vegas. Radio Row, Las Vegas. And I've never had a chance to see Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been to Reno. I've been to and through Reno, but never Sin City. So that is our mission. And that became an impromptu big announcement. All right. Now to get into sports, and thank you folks for allowing me those few minutes here at the top of the show. Now let's get in. Let's get into it. Let's get our guest list today includes Cam Chancellor. He'll talk Bengals with me at the bottom of this hour, and also Steve Weed of Steve Weed Media. And I met him on a conference call out from Colorado Springs. He'll join me at the bottom of hour 2. Now, I have a question. We're saving our football conversation. And I hate going back to this subject, but you know what? It works. Have you noticed the Brooklyn Nets have been falling like a rock in a well?
Yeah.
I mean, have I not said this? I said last year that it would be heaped on the shoulders of Kevin Durant to carry this team to the finals. Guess what? They didn't make it.
I'm going to hate what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. The one thing that is disappointing about them is the one thing that makes them interesting. And it's the fact that they are a soap opera.
Yeah, to say the least.
They are a soap opera. And yes, of course, I've glossed Kyrie many different names, but I've glossed the Nets as the Nets turn, because it's like you're watching a soap opera.
As the Nets turn. I love it. Oh, you gotta love it. Because it is a walking soap opera. It's a walking soap opera.
I mean, if it isn't stories that they want to have about Durant being in his feelings about things, it's Kyrie and his stance and the fact he can't play at home. And if it isn't about him, about that, it's about Harden and if he's going to get traded to the Sixers, or if he's not, or if he likes New York, or if he does not. And if it's not that, it's can the rest of the team actually pick up where the big three has fallen off? But I will scratch the big three and say 2 of the 3, because the third one, unfortunately, the unfortunate one who's injured, is more than capable of taking the mantle. And it's just something about that day after day after day, and it's been that way for at least the last 2 years. Because the first year Kyrie was there, he was injury prone and he wasn't really causing any damage, really.
Yeah, there was nothing going on. Okay, but drama. Nothing but drama. Speaking of nothing but drama, let's head out to Los Angeles.
Oh, Lord, more drama.
That's why I brought it up, so we can laugh at it. That's exactly why I brought it up, so we can laugh at it. How many times have we said LeBron James would ruin the Lakers on this show?
I think we've said it so many times, it's like a cue card. It's like, cue in saying that man will ruin the franchise. Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry I just cussed, but and we usually don't say that name till Wednesday, but I have. What's the phrase? I hate to be an I told you so, but I told you so.
Well, I mean,
come on.
He invited it by saying, back in August when he typed that wonderful tweet.
Oh, keep the same energy?
Yes. For all those who say we can't shoot, all those who say we're too old, all those who say we're too injury prone, just do me a favor and keep that same energy when we hoist that trophy up in 2022.
Yeah. And how close are they to doing that?
Yeah. Not even.
The Suns and the Warriors have better chances.
They're easily the class of the conference. And what makes it funny to me is that when I'm hearing the coverage, because at first it's a slam dunk. This is the best team. Talking about the Lakers. This is the best team in the NBA.
You heard that frivolity too?
Yes, from August until October, this is without question the best team in the NBA. Forget the Western Conference. Best team in the NBA. The analysts have said the best team in the NBA.
Best team in the NBA right now would be the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they have the best record. Who's behind him? The Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
And the biggest surprise of all, the Chicago Bulls.
Mm-hmm. So the analysts said it was the Lakers. Vegas said it was the Nets. So
oh God.
And
Vegas still says it's the Nets. And that's the sad part.
And to this day, Vegas still says it's the Nets. But the tune started to change in October when we actually started to see the product on the court,
and
it reflected exactly what we were saying
for 2 years. For 2 years, okay.
Do they have jump shooters? No. Do they have a presence that basically stands out from the rest? Yes. Do they use them? No.
And all of this, and I'm going to, I held back from saying this. But it's all LeBron James's fault. No one wants to point out what happened.
And then it gets worse.
All this can be heaped at the feet of LeBron James, period. And I'm going to keep swearing while I'm doing this particular segment. We got Cam Chancellor coming at the bottom of the hour.
And it keeps getting worse, man. Now, stop me if you've heard this. So ever since he has been a member of the Lakers, people have said, well, once he's on the court, they are a winning ball club.
Stop me if you heard this one from me. No, they're not.
The thing is, it's twofold.
Mm-hmm.
One, when he is on the court, yeah, you're above 500. In fact, you're above 60%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you extrapolate that to teams that are not even at full strength themselves, but they're still beating.
They're still the whooping. Lakers. They're still whipping their ass.
Yeah,
I'll give you the prime example
on the court.
I'll give you a prime example. Golden State, second best team in the West. They're still shorthanded, and they're 30-something games over 500.
But the thing is, and that's the first fold. The second fold is he's 37 years of age. I don't care who you are. Heck, even Jordan had to go through this.
Man,
Kobe had to go through this.
Jordan had to go through it. Kareem had to go through it. Jordan had to go through it. Kobe had to go through it. Dr. J had to go through it. Yes. Larry Bird had to go through it. And the only thing that kept Larry Bird from playing a 15th year was a back injury.
And Father Time, I mean,
that's it. The only thing that stopped Bird was a back injury. But you know what all of them had? A shot.
Yeah.
And except for Kareem, a jump shot. What did Kareem have? A sky hook.
A sky hook.
You can't beat that.
But these apologists don't want to accept that Father Time is undefeated, and even with the Iron Man of the NBA, and I'm putting that in quotes,
right?
It also applies to him. And I have said that I will give you a slight preview to one of the Braun sexual confessions I'll do tomorrow.
Let's have it.
So, so I had a conversation with a Braun sexual.
Oh Lord!
And
those brain cells won't return, unfortunately.
No, they won't. And
I am so sorry, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And the thought began.
Mm-hmm.
When LeBron, I've given myself permission to curse. When LeBron James is on the floor, they are a championship caliber team. And I retorted by basically saying, quote, all right, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
The things which hold the Lakers back.
Yep.
Are AD's health, LeBron's health, LeBron's age. Right now, it is all about luck when it comes to the Lakers.
Yes.
Close quote. and I had another bronsexual give me a face palm when I said that.
Did they get in their feelings?
Hard.
Very hard. Cool McCain joins us via YouTube, shouting in capital letters, Father Time is undefeated. Isn't he? Huh?
Yeah. And it was proof here because that wonderful stretch that he had, it was a beautiful stretch. I mean, he was giving you MVP caliber numbers, 30+ points, 7+ rebounds, 7+ assists. He was trying to big boy everybody and show that he still is the man at 37. And then all of a sudden, he gets pulled from the lineup. He has to go to LA. He has to get treated for his knee.
Oops.
And that has been my consistent point. I'm like, yeah, when he's on the court, he does magnificent things, but
yeah, he does.
The best, but I mean, this is something that you've heard. I know for a long time. I've heard it for a long time. It is true, man. The best ability is availability, and if if you're not available, what does it matter if the record is 127-76 when he's on the court?
Yeah, when he's on the court. I'll stop you right there for a moment, and I will say this. Everyone wants to call LeBron James the Iron Man. No, he's not. Michael Jordan played longer. Michael Jordan played only 13 full seasons, but yet when it's time to play, he was out there. Meaning no load management, you fool. In fact, the only game I remember him missing was during the 1992-93 season. The night before, 2 nights before, in Salt Lake City, Utah, he was tossed at the end of the game, which was triple overtime, because he barked at an official for a foul that was called on Scottie Pippen that should not have been called at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. 92-93 season. It cost him a game the following night in Phoenix, Arizona, where the Suns blew the Bulls out. That's the only game I remember him missing. He played through injuries. He played through fatigue. He played through it all.
All right, those who want to hate on Jordan,
bring it.
Those who want to hate on Jordan, yes, he missed 60 some odd games in the 86 season. Yes, but that's not what he's talking about here.
I know he missed 64 games during the 85-86 season.
I know you know.
Because of a broken foot that he suffered in Oakland, California.
Right.
Let's talk sports, saying hi, Brian. Great show. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for that. But I remember him missing 64 games. I remember him clearly missing 64 games because of a broken foot.
And when he returned, the team, well, no, actually not the team, basically Jerry Krause wanted to put him on a minutes restriction.
And Mike wasn't having it.
He wasn't having it.
Michael Jordan said, either you let me play or I walk out of here. So Jerry Krause said, you win. Jerry Krause said, you win. And unfortunately, Jeannie Buss has said the same thing to LeBron James. What do I mean? I said it yesterday, and I will say it again today. This is LeBron James's fault. He has ruined the franchise since he's come to Los Angeles, 2020 championship notwithstanding. And Jeannie Buss is the person in charge, wait for these magical 3 words, in name only. Can I say that? Can I say that again? Please?
Yeah, please do.
Jeannie Buss is in charge, ... in name only.
What is upsetting about about all this.
Did I lie anywhere in those statements?
Mm-mm. What's upsetting about all this is, and be honest with me here.
Okay.
Does the Lakers organization as of now, and not, don't even think about number 23/6.
Okay.
Does the Lakers organization in 2022 resemble anything, heck, 5 years ago?
Okay. I will
forget late show era, forget Showtime era.
Mm-hmm. Anything 5 years ago. Okay, what are the two words I'm looking for? Hell no.
And that's the problem I have with the Lakers right now.
Yeah, case rested. Sick Diggy joins us from Norway saying, greetings, folks, and a broken foot is no joke. Damn right it's no joke. I nearly broke my foot.
It is not at all.
A broken foot or a high ankle sprain are no jokes to mess with. Almost had one, had the other, the high ankle sprain. This Laker franchise doesn't even come close to resembling 5 years ago, the end of the Kobe era, where they actually competed, where they actually gave a damn. And I know Kobe, oh, God love you, Kobe, is looking down going, ain't this a bitch? And what's happened to his franchise, and it's LeBron James's fault. I will say it again. LeBron James, it is your fault. This is a preview of what's coming tomorrow. LeBron James, it is your fault that the Lakers are in this. Who remembers the famous chant from Indianapolis? LeBron's gonna trade you.
Every time a Lakers stepped to the free throw line, I was like, "Oh, I'm proud of them."
Mm-hmm. So
I'm like, it is such a bad kept secret.
Let's go up to Norway. Sick Diggy asks, so she's basically a figurehead? Damn right. Because if she was really, it's a very unfortunate for Jeannie Buss. Because if she was active in her role, she'd have given LeBron James the finger and kicked him out.
She'd be just like her late father.
Will you say that again, please? Yeah, say that again, please.
If she was active, like I believe she should be, she'd be just like her late father.
I believe she was told to sit back and relax. And she hasn't relaxed. She sat back as ordered. Mm-hmm. Let me say it again. As ordered. And we all know who gave the order. Drink of the morning is Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Little homemade coffee with some chocolate creamer in it. Visit Dunkin' Donuts for more. This is Snowman in the Morning This is Snowman in the Morning on the Untitled Podcast Network, coming to you live from just south of Indy and in Tennessee. And in about 4 minutes, Cam Chancellor will join me. Want to sponsor the show? Drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. Want to contribute to the show? All you have to do is hit the PayPal. Go to paypal.com, paypal.me, /snowman2172, or become a patron, patreon.com/official SITMorn. And while I'm doling out some announcements, there will be a Cash App added soon. So what y'all will see tomorrow are the many ways you can contribute to the program. I'm no longer afraid to put it out there. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a like and a subscribe. We're building that also. Cam Chancellor in 3 minutes. Cool McCain says, I feel like AD is partly to blame. He won't play the 5 and stays hurt. You know what? There's nothing but truth in that sentence. But you know why AD? But you know why AD? The biggest reason why AD is partly to blame. You are true, Mr. McCain, that he won't play the 5 and he stays hurt. AD has not played a full season in the NBA in his 10th season. That is nothing but truth there. The other part of it is because of you-know-who. And it's also because of Frank Vogel, because Frank Vogel won't tell AD to play the center position. Sick Diggy adds also a torn quad and pulled hamstring and Achilles tendon rupture, ACL, PCL, meniscus tear, fractured tibia or fibia, broken toe, or stress fracture. Man, all those are no joke. And unfortunately, from that list, a few of those have hit Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
They want to call LeBron James, I'm sorry I cussed. They want to call LBJ the Iron Man? No. Because he's only played one 82-game season in his 18 years. One. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan played 82 games every year he was in the NBA. Except for the 1995 season when he came back. He played the rest of that season. He played the rest of that season. Now, I'm going to say all this tomorrow and a whole lot more. I got a whole lot more. Cole Johnson dropped his preview of one of his BCs. I'm dropping one here. 60 seconds until Cam Chancellor rings in. If you want to be a part of the show, text the show at 919-247-3622. Or if you're watching on YouTube, drop us a like, subscribe, and a comment. We appreciate all of you. And I'll tell you what, Cole, this thing has grown. You know, we just passed 100 subscribers on our new YouTube channel, so thank you to all of you for that. And Cool McCain said, all truth, Snowman. Look, I'll drop you a little nugget. I'll drop y'all a little nugget before Cam Chancellor calls in. I saw said person that I unfortunately mentioned 4 or 5 times here at Cedar Point in 2002, while the Western Conference Finals was going on, easily one of the best damn playoff series in NBA history. Mm-hmm. And he had a towel on his head. Everybody was following him. And I had one young guy come up to me. I was the old fart in the group. I had one young guy come up to me and he said, do you know who's in the ballpark? You know who's in the park today? And I said, who's that? He said, LeBron James is here. I said, who the hell is he? And the guy his mouth dropped. And he looked at me and said, you don't know who LeBron James is? No. Have you ever seen him play basketball? No. Then you don't know basketball. Get out of my face. And he looked at me like I owed him money. I'm like, y'all don't know basketball. I'll put a pin in that there. Now we welcome Coach Cam Chancellor, the man in charge of Timeout with Coach Cam, and our Cincinnati Bengals insider who is floating on cloud 12 right now. Forget cloud 9 because his beloved Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Good morning, Cam. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing, Snowman? I appreciate you bringing me on, and yes, it's definitely exciting times in Cincinnati.
Oh, man, to finally get you on is great because we've scheduled several times before, or something that come up on my end, or schedule was crazy. What do you coach?
No. I coach. I'm a assistant varsity and assistant JV coach here.
Nice.
In high school here called Summit Country Day. So yeah, it's definitely fun engaging with the kids.
Good.
It's almost tournament time for us where we got the 3 seeds. So hopefully, we can make a state push there.
I am so happy for you, and I'm happy for your team. I've followed your work. I followed your coaching work. I am very proud of you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, time to get down to business. People want Super Bowl coverage? Here it is. How excited are you that your beloved Bengals are in the Super Bowl for the first time since 1988?
Oh, man, it's unreal. I basically was born in a Bengals fan, my parents being Bengals fan, and I was born in 88. So when the Super Bowl happened in 89, I was 6 months old, so I don't remember that. I really don't vividly remember a playoff win in my lifetime. So getting that first playoff win, I always felt like if we could get one playoff win, I felt like the monkey would get off our back.
Right.
And it looks like that's what happened. It just feels, it's almost surreal as being a lifelong Bengals fan and following the team. And then just all of a sudden, we win 3 games in the playoffs.
Yep.
And we're in the Super Bowl. It's just, for me, it's almost surreal. But we have a really, really, really good quarterback, man, who just keeps us poised throughout the whole way. And an underrated defense that hopefully will be on display on Sunday evening.
Let's talk about that defense. Harassing Patrick Mahomes all day long. And the same defense, and Cole, you brought this to me, the same defense that made a goal line stand when Patrick Mahomes decided to gamble instead of the Chiefs taking the points to extend the lead. How tough is this defense, my man?
Right now, it's really playing well. Now, don't get me wrong. The first half of that game, we came out of zone coverage, and I think Patrick Mahomes just took what we gave him. But people saying, what happened was a fluke. But people got to remember in Week 17 when we played the Chiefs at home, the same thing happened. They came out hot second half, made adjustments. Chiefs had a total of 50 passing yards and 3 points. Now you fast forward to the AFC Championship game, same thing. Come out hot second half, we make adjustments. 55 yards passing.
55 yards passing, and that
3 points in second half in overtime. So what it is that they make great adjustments at halftime, and people don't know we got two great pass rushers too, with Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson. I feel like outside of Justin Poyer and maybe Micah Hyde, and we have the best safety duo in the league with Von Bell and Jesse Bates III.
Yep.
So it's going to be names that you don't hear because, we're the Bengals and we didn't get a lot of primetime games yet. So I'm excited for the defense to really make a name for themselves and show, how formidable we've been all year, because the defense has been a big part of this run as well.
Let me say good morning to APizzle90 on YouTube, giving us a watch this morning. Good morning, sir, and thank you for watching. Cam Chancellor on the line with us, talking all things Cincinnati Bengals and Super Bowl 56. You got a hell of a task in front of you in terms of Matthew Stafford and that pass-happy offense, which has now discovered a running game. What things should you do at the start of the game to slow down this freight train offense?
You still always got to stop the run first. With any team, whether what quarterback they have, stop the run first. Make sure, they're still one-dimensional, so you won't get hit with play actions that, the Rams like to do, because our offenses are similar. Zach Taylor comes from, Sean McVay.
Right.
Tree. So it's not going to be anything, really that we see that's going to be like, wow, that'll shock us. We run pretty much the same stuff with wrinkles, but stop the run. I say this about Patrick Mahomes too, and it's the same with Matthew Stafford. He's going to give you about 2 to 3 balls a game that you can intercept.
Right.
You just have to make the play on him. You have to make the play on him. He will give you 2 or 3 balls a game. And it's all, you got to get a little pressure on him, make you feel uncomfortable. Make Matthew Stafford feel uncomfortable in the pocket, and we have a great chance. I don't think Cooper, I know that offense is high powered, and and I don't think Cooper Kupp can really necessarily be stopped. We just have to neutralize him some, and make sure he doesn't have one of those 13 catch games. For,
right.
Plus, you just have to neutralize that absolutely.
Yeah, he caught 13 against my 49ers, and the Rams put up a hell of a comeback. That was a great. And both games both championship games, championship weekend was just off the charts for both games.
Yes, it was. Yes, both good games.
Timeout with Coach. You're listening to the man in charge of Timeout with Coach Cam Chancellor, joining us, talking Super Bowl 56 and his beloved Bengals. How'd you get Timeout with Coach Cam started? What brought that?
I just always wanted to talk sports. And everybody was like, yeah, you talk well, far as sports, and you love your Bengals, you love your Cincinnati sports. Just why don't you just come out with with a show and and talk about it and have an outlet? I really didn't plan on really making the show, and then I started one, and and it kind of had some success. I really wasn't really looking to do it for that. I was doing it just for a hobby, but it ended up growing, and right now we have Life in the Jungle, which is tied in to Timeout with Coach Ken, that does our Bengals talk, and it's doing really, really well. I just enjoy talking sports, and I love my Cincinnati sports, and finally being a Cincinnati sports fan has paid off after 30 plus years.
The man in charge of Timeout with Coach Cam and Life in the Jungle, from the jungle to Los Angeles. The Cincinnati Bengals playing the Los Angeles Rams this Sunday. We continue our Super Bowl coverage throughout the course of the week, and I want to thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Finally, I got you on my program. Man, if y'all haven't checked out Time Out with Coach Cam, I suggest you do so. It's a fabulous, fabulous program. I am a fan of it. I hope y'all become a fan of it too. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it, and I look forward to having you on a whole lot more to talk some sports with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Snowman. Appreciate you.
Cam Chancellor joining us this morning to talk all things Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go back to what we were talking about before, because a couple of comments have come through.
Okay.
And I want to read these. I want to read these comments, and I know they're gonna make everyone smile. In terms of the NBA, they were tough back in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. That is so true. And I mentioned one of the best conference final series, Lakers Kings 2002. Sick Diggy with another comment. Players in those decades know and willing to play hurt, but this generation doesn't have the mental/physical conditioning to tough it out. Ain't that the truth? There needs to be a balance between playing smart and tough. Let me read that last sentence again. There needs to be a balance between playing smart and tough. How truthful is that? He also goes on to say playing smart and thinking of their careers' longevity is important, but at the same time, here's a familiar phrase, quote, no guts, no glory. Paul Pierce playing hurt throughout the Celtics championship run with a bad knee is a great example of mental, physical fortitude. Gotta love the truth. He wanted to hear the letters of MVP instead of MRI. Let's see. Michael Jordan was that way. Julius Erving was that way. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was that way. James Worthy, who lost his rookie season to a broken foot. Played the same way. Joe Montana, we're talking football. We were talking football with Coach Cap. Joe Montana, same way. Joe Burrow, who got absolutely mauled against Tennessee, but stood up, threw for 300 yards, and guided his team to a walk-off field goal in Tennessee to eliminate the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo didn't win the NFC title game, but doggone it, he got his team there. They weren't even supposed to be in the don't get me started with this subject. They weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. They were left for dead. And what did Jimmy Garoppolo do? Got him to 9 wins in 11 games, all the way to Los Angeles in the NFC Championship game, where that was a hell of a game between Matthew Stafford and Garoppolo. Okay? Say what you want about Garoppolo. I know he's being traded and it pisses me off, but at the same time, who got them there? So I say, Trey Lance, if it's your time, be ready to produce. That's all I'll say about that. Mental and physical fortitude is tested in sports every day, which is what we're talking about here, which is what we will talk about ad nauseum tomorrow with you about you know who. Listen, Stephen Curry had not 1, not 2, but 3 major ankle injuries, and the rest of the NBA wrote him off. They wrote him off. Let's see. 2013 gets to the second round of the playoffs, eliminated by the stacked up Spurs. Naturally stacked up, that is. Tyree TV, can we not talk about the 49ers and Jimmy gone? No! Because my team made the playoffs and yours didn't. Take that. I said what I said. I'm going to borrow from my good buddy Tyree and that beautiful daughter of his. I said what I said. I haven't had a chance to tease him in a while. Cool McCain. The funny thing to me is how guys get praised for longevity and stats, but they load manage and take advantage of the current lax defensive rules. Does the name Kawhi Leonard mean anything to y'all? Sick Diggy one more time. Kurt Angle won the gold medal in freestyle wrestling in the 100 kg division in Atlanta in 96 with a broken neck. You know, broken neck, broken anything, and he won the gold medal. How about that for mental and physical toughness?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about mental toughness? I was on my deathbed, basically getting blood sucked out of me this past summer, and then I get sucker punched with pancreatic cancer, which I'm busy kicking in the ass, by the way. Your team, Tirade TV, my team, the Rams going to that's not your team. Quit lying. I'm teasing about that. I know the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. I know that. I saw it happen. I watched it happen. And Tirade, congratulations to you. Matty HOFer for Super Bowl MVP. No, that would be Cooper Kupp. I'm sorry. No. Let me stop kidding around. Anybody can win MVP in this year's Super Bowl because these teams are loaded with talent and loaded with mental toughness. I mean, Cincinnati, for God's sakes, I'll mention again, 9 sacks against Burrow against Tennessee, and they walk off. Raiders come back from a big deficit. Cincinnati defense holds them off. Okay? Rams down 17-7 against the 49ers. 13 straight points on 3 straight possessions in the fourth quarter, in the money period. The Rams were money in the fourth period. That's why the legendary Brent Musburger calls it the money period. That's exactly why he calls it the money period, for performances like what Matt Stafford put up and that Rams defense made the 49ers shut up. Period. I say it the way I say it, and I say it the way I mean it. And if people don't like that, you don't have to watch or listen. Like I say, truth. Like I love talking the truth on this show, and Cole Johnson loves talking the truth with me. And I go back to a point that I said earlier. In fact, I'm going to invoke a little bit of Mike Valenti from the Valenti Show in Detroit, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. You know what? The hell with it. The absolute hell with it. I wasn't going to do this, but it writes itself. It really writes itself. I swear to God I wasn't going to do this. I swear to you I wasn't going to do this. But what the hell?
In a world where partial greatness is celebrated and total greatness is shunned, there stands to be a figure on the lips of those who love him and those who hate him. The inane comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant continue and has existed since 2003. There is no end in sight, for the battle between those who unconditionally love and unconditionally hate him wages on. These are their stories. Welcome to the Bronzexual Confessions.
I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I'm so riled up about this guy getting so much praise that he doesn't deserve that I'm going to go in right now. And I'm going to say to y'all, I'm going to say to you Bronzexuals, beware. I'm in a mood. And when I'm in a mood, off comes the glasses. I said I'd invoke a little bit of Michael Valenti in Detroit, who I love listening to. LeBron James, take a seat for me, will you please? Just take a seat for me. This whole contract you had to the Lakers, and this is where I invoke Mr. Valenti, this is your mess, and this is your fault. You want to heap praise on this guy? You better heap a lot of fault on him too. Fault! How about that for a 5-letter curse word? when it comes to LBJ. How about this one? Fault. F-A-U-L-T, fault. This is your fault, LeBron. The mess that your team is in is your fault. Because you traded every piece of youth on this team that you could have used that actually can shoot the basketball. And you bring in these old farts that play the same way you do. Anthony Davis has been ruined because of you. Anthony Davis, let me correct that sentence. Anthony Davis's Laker tenure has been ruined because of you. Because AD now wants to play more outside than inside, and his strength is inside. You saw it when he returned against the Brooklyn Mess. And I got more on them later this week. Russell Westbrook, do I even need to go there? Do I even need to explain that? Do I even need to say... No, let me say it another way. Do I even need to show how many bricks he lays? No? Good answer. But back to LBJ, and I want to try to shorten this and save the rest for tomorrow. LeBron, this is your fault. The moment you sign that Laker contract, this is on you. Luke Walton, fired. Frank Vogel, on the verge of being fired. Jason Kidd saw that and said, this, I'm out. This is your fault. Period. Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, good God. Jeannie Buss is a figurehead. And I hate saying this. Jeannie Buss is in charge in name only. We all know who's in charge of the Lakers. He wears number 6, auditioning for being GM. Well, let me say this. Your audition tape has been canceled, cut up, shredded, and thrown in the bleeping garbage. Because your audition tape for being GM sucked with the players that you convinced the brass to bring in. How's that working out for you? And yet people still think this Laker team, this 2021-22 Laker team, can be favored to win it all? Who lied? The first night of the season should have given you that answer. When the Golden State Warriors wiped out a 15-point deficit and won going away. They won by 7. And Mr. Johnson, do me a favor. There was a quote that Stephen Curry said after that game that should frighten the daylights out of everybody. Would you repeat that quote for me, please?
Oh, sure. Yeah, he said, quote, I actually had an off night tonight. Close quote.
And you know the best part about that off night? He dropped a triple-double on the Lakers' heads. Nah. I
want him to have those types of off nights every night.
Absolutely. Oh, and what did Steph do night 2? He torched the Clippers for 45 points. Jason Kidd saw all this writing on the wall and bolted. Peace out. I'm not going through this because he was supposed to be the head coach. But after performances that he saw under Frank Vogel, see you later. Jason Kidd had the balls to recognize what was going on and acted accordingly. Let me say it again. Jason Kidd had the balls to recognize what's going on and acted accordingly, which means he made tracks. Which means, let me say it another way, as Bugs Bunny said in a cartoon, I better get one. Getting's good. Danny Bennett yesterday texted me and said, you get criticized a lot because you're an old head. That is correct, Danny. I get criticized a lot for telling the truth. I get criticized a lot for bringing a lot of facts with it. Hold on. You see this notebook? Pretty thick, isn't it? I have 5 of these, and I write notes all the time. So to all you Bron sexuals that want to throw numbers at me saying, oh, LeBron got this and less shots, riddle me this. Didn't he also play less games than MJ? I will say a statement that no one else will say except my partner, and no one will have the balls to believe. Michael Jordan had a bigger impact in 13 full seasons that LeBron James has had in 18 full seasons. Now, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
In a world where logic and sense flies completely out the window, while purple and yellow glasses are donned, rises a figure who encourages ridiculous, undying loyalty. Good Lord, I'm about to throw up. This has been yet another installment of The Bronsexual Confessions.
Thank you, Cole, for letting me borrow that intro and outro.
No problem.
I didn't want to do it, but did I lie anywhere in those 7 minutes?
No.
Good. Good. We're going to finally take a break. We were just on a roll this morning. And in 4 minutes, a few Super Bowl memories. And I got a lot of them. Back in a minute.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes as long as it's coming from love. then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Sick Dig has been hanging with us via YouTube. He's in Norway. And he says, and I know my partner will love this, I want to see the 96-97 Chicago Bulls team whip this generation's collective behind. Dennis Rodman would have a field day getting in players' heads. Hear any lies there?
Look, Rodman would live rent-free in people's heads.
The same way the Sons of the Warriors are living rent-free in the Lakers' heads. He adds, thank you for having such a great show. I'm loving it. Thank you for participating with us. Hour 2 here of Snowman in the Morning. We got Steve Weed of Steve Weed Media coming to us from Colorado Springs. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour. And I'm having a field day today, and Cole Johnson's with me. Here's how I got Cole Johnson on the show. I've had so many people say to me, you need to have a partner. You need to have a partner. Shut up. They were saying it to me for years. Finally, I let that thought stew in my head for about a year and a half, and it just seemed like every time I called my friend Cole Johnson, we were on the phone for at least 2 hours. And I went to sleep one night and woke up and I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and offer him a chance to be my partner on the show. I know that he's just, Cole, you've been such a big part of this. Big part of my life.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. It just fit. It just fit.
Sometimes it just happens like that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. All right. How about some Super Bowl memories? And we got quite a few of them, considering how much football we have watched over the years. What was your first Super Bowl memory?
First Super Bowl memory.
Uh-oh.
It probably would be 15. And that was,
in the Superdome, Oakland and Philadelphia.
That probably was my first vivid Super Bowl memory. But the funny thing is, I remember that game. I remember watching it with my father. I remember even more vividly, and not necessarily because it was a year later and I was a year older, but I remember the circumstances a lot better. Of course, 16, of course, was the 49ers Bengals first of the 2 times they've met in Super Bowls.
Right.
And this was, of course, 2 weeks after I went to one of my parents' friends' house to watch the NFC Championship game, and it was 30 people in the house. Everybody except for my mother, father, and myself were Cowboys fans. Everybody in that house was Cowboys fans. So you can imagine when the catch happened, how silent that house was.
Wait, did you mention the catch?
Yes.
Just a moment. I already told you my story with my my 4th grade teacher being a big time Cowboy fan.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Had a bet.
Oh good Lord, no, not a bet.
Yeah, she said she'd bring cupcakes for everybody if the 49ers won. You were surrounded by Cowboy fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then this happened.
Montana looking
Throwing in the end zone. Dwight
Clark caught it. As called by
And
the
what-
legendary Vince Scully on CBS.
Now, what people also have to understand about that particular game is the Cowboys still had time to have possession. So
right.
So of course, Danny White hits Drew Pearson over the middle. If it wasn't for it
Eric
would be an
Wright.
illegal tackle now.
Eric Wright saved the 49ers.
It would be an illegal tackle now, but if it wasn't for that Eric Wright reach in behind horse collar tackle, we would not be seeing the dynasty that is the 49ers at least start.
True.
For at least another few years.
True.
But the very next play, White fumbles the ball. And
Jim Stuckey recovered it. Jim Stuckey recovered it.
And it was, it was silent with the catch. Then it got raucous with the Drew Pearson catch from White. And everybody was on pins and needles. It's like, just a few more yards, get a field goal.
I was.
Get about 15 more yards, get a field goal, and walk off. And we're on to Detroit. It was like,
And then
just 15 more yards.
And then Danny White dropped the ball, and Jim Stuckey recovered it.
And then when that happened,
I screamed at the top of my lungs.
When that happened, I kid you not, my man. Just like when you see in sporting events when a bad thing happens to the home team, they file for the exits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, this was like a barbecue.
Right.
As soon as that happened,
everybody's
scattered
like roaches.
Bye.
Peace out. I've seen what I needed to see.
I'm out. They started leaving.
Scattering like roaches. Scattering like roaches.
So
oh man!
I was remembering that, and it was an adult party that my parents went to the Super Bowl, so I wasn't allowed to go, which I understood.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't old enough at the time to sit by myself to watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember the babysitter was there, and it was the easiest money she ever had because I was not giving her any problems because I was eyes glued to the TV screen.
That's it.
And she could have cared less. She could have cared less. She would thought it was Cleveland versus San Antonio in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
She didn't care.
She didn't care.
She didn't care. She didn't care at all. And I had a ball, man. I actually had a ball. And it was great.
Hey, look, a little bit of viewer takeover as my homie Rod Peterson would do on his show. And speaking of Rod, he'll join me Friday morning from Los Angeles. Sick digging again. Robert Parrish would be schooling these younglings as if they were his grandkids. Big up to the chief. Lord, I love some Robert Parrish.
Oh,
Charles Oakley would be living rent free with his trash talking. He also adds,
he sure would.
Yeah, he would. I vaguely remember those Super Bowls myself since I was a kid at the time. Cool McCain gave us a little bit of history. On this day, backup quarterback Nick Foles led the Eagles to a 41-33 win over Tom Brady and the Cheatriots, in his words. Fly Eagles, fly. And
yes, that.
Diggy said, I grew up playing soccer. My dad and I would go and share memories of the FIFA World Cup. You know what, Diggy? I got into soccer, but it was indoor soccer. I got into the
MISL.
Thank you. Man. Yes. That's how I got into soccer. Am I getting into outdoor soccer? Very slowly but surely. I had a chance to cover some indoor soccer games back in Chicago. See, my first soccer hero was Karl-Heinz Granitza of the Chicago Sting. And then there was a fellow by the name of Steve Jungle with the San Diego Sockers.
That's probably my favorite team.
San Diego Sockers. Yeah.
Just for the name. And they had, and if I'm not mistaken, they had the same colors as the Chargers.
The exact same colors.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They were one of the essences of San Diego.
Yes, they were.
And Chargers, do me a favor. Move your asses out of SoFi Stadium and go back home to San Diego.
Please. You're wasting your time in Los Angeles.
My Cool McCain says, my daughter plays soccer. We watch a lot of it now. I'm getting into it. I got to say, I'm getting into it slowly. For a fellow who was old hat and said, I will just watch indoor soccer, I'm getting into the outdoor stuff. It's an acquired taste for a lot of people. I know that because if you didn't grow up playing it like my buddy Sick Diggy did, or you don't have a kid that's playing it. I haven't been into soccer since 2006 when I called a soccer game with Whitney Young, and that's a funny story. I called a soccer match with Whitney Young. It was dry as a bone when I got to the stadium. I didn't have any wheels at the time. It was dry as a bone when I got to the stadium. It poured rain the whole match. And it went 2 overtimes. And it poured again after the match. After both teams were exchanging pleasantries, I looked outside and I said, how the hell am I going to get to the train and not get soaked? And have my equipment not get soaked? Well, I didn't make it. I got soaked. I got home and immediately pulled out my equipment, started drying it with a hairdryer. And my mother's going, what are you doing? Saving my equipment that I invested in. I mean, hell, there's something I tell people to this day. I'm going to take $1,000 investment and turn it into $2 billion a year. I'm going to turn it into $2 billion a year. You know, and people, and we're all over the place here in this segment. Steve Weed will join us in 20 minutes. Got a correction. Snowman, indoor soccer is called futsal. Okay. I can live with that. But yeah, I'm taking everything I have invested in, including this tripod here off to my right, and I'm going to turn it into $2 billion a year within 24 months. You heard me, within 24 months. The Untapped Podcast Network, big step. It was a big step for us. Now, sir, how many times have you been ridiculed because you decided to chase a dream of yours, which involves a microphone and Cole Sports and telling the truth about sports?
Oh, often.
Do you still get it?
I do, but I'm starting to notice it's less of it, though.
Yeah, same here.
And it's not because I have limited myself in the circles in which I travel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've had to understand that there must be something to seeing less and less criticism.
Yep.
Even with such a matter that they don't like.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, the Bronsexual Confession. I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because they many of them know that I'm speaking truth when I'm behind that mic.
Yeah.
And I may do it in a way that it may be entertaining. It may be all kilter. It may be quirky. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell the truth the way it is, the way I am expressing it in my unique way, because I don't want to be Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to be Colin Cowherd.
Nope.
I don't want to be Mike Greenberg.
I don't want to be any of those guys. I don't want to be any of those guys.
I'm glad that they are who they are because they're their unique selves.
Exactly.
I want to be my unique self too.
And that's what the people that are really dialing into us are looking for. Unique, being our unique selves.
Mm-hmm. They want authenticity. They want originality, and that is what we both provide.
Yep. Danny Bennett, this is for you. Danny and I had a conversation yesterday, which I was gonna go down for a nap. So I thought, okay, let me check in with Danny and see what's going on. I'm thinking it's only going to be a 15-minute chat. Yeah, 95 minutes of laughter, of truth-telling, of him saying to me, thank you for being the anchor for On Tap Podcast Network. I'm like, hey, you chose me. I'm the one that's honored. Okay? I'm the one that should be saying thank you to you.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Danny Bennett, 100,000 times over. One of the things that he said was exactly the same thing that you just said a moment ago. We're not looking for Colin Cowherd. We're not looking for Stephen A. He just kept saying your show is great and it's also unique. Well, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew chiming in says, my first Super Bowl memory was 2008 Super Bowl 42, Giants over the previously unbeaten Patriots. What a way to get introduced. I love it.
Yeah.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. I was at Hooters for that Super Bowl because I was in the mood for some chicken. All right? I was in the mood for some chicken. And it's like, I don't feel like cooking. So I'm going to go, and I want to go enjoy the Super Bowl around people. So I did. Unlimited wings that night because it was the Super Bowl and they had an offer going. So I figured, hell with it. And then to see the Giants pull that off.
Yeah.
All right, so many people coming up to me, did you pull for the Giants? Yeah, I sure did. Why? I hate Tom Brady. And I heard people go, oh, how can you hate on the greatest quarterback ever to play? First of all, Tom Brady's not the greatest quarterback ever to play. Joe Montana is.
Oh,
and second of all, and I was proven wrong about this, I said Tom Brady won't last. I was proven dead wrong about that. 22 seasons? Hey, can't knock that at all.
No, sure can't.
Can't knock that at all. Andrew said, Sick Diggy first. Although this past couple of decades, soccer has been dealing with the deaths of players due to undiagnosed heart conditions with players collapsing on the field. And I hate that. In soccer, you're running miles. Outdoor soccer especially, because it's the length of a football field. And Diggy, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Andrew says, I like soccer. I just wish the players wouldn't flop and dive so much. You know what? I give him that. It's our viewer takeover segment sharing Super Bowl memories and soccer memories. So come on with us. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Drop a like if you can. If you got us on Real Wise Radio, give us a text at 919-247-3622. And if you're on the go, you can do the same thing. You can also find us on TuneIn. Talking soccer, talking Super Bowls, and the fans are taking over the segment, and I love it. You run miles in soccer, okay? Not just a few hundred steps like in indoor soccer. You run miles, especially 45 minutes a half. Woof.
Yeah, you're humping.
You are humping. Sick Diggy again. Denmark's Christian Eriksen's near-death collapse during Denmark's game versus Finland in last year's Euro Championship is a great example. Yeah, it sure is. McCain says any Super Bowl team that the Arlington football team or Cheatries lose is a win for me. Agreed.
Cheatries.
Agreed. I didn't even watch Super Bowl 52 because I had to work that night. Then I wound up getting sick and coming home early. And I checked my phone and saw that Brady threw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. And I'm going, how the hell did he do that? But then I saw the score and screamed into my pillow. I saw the score and screamed into my pillow. And woke up next day. Young lady Sarah that I was with at the time said, who won the Super Bowl? Eagles. Stop kidding. The Eagles didn't win. Yes, they did. 41-33. And she said, wait a minute. I have a sports announcer here. He would know that. But I'm still going to test you. Go ahead. Go ahead. If you know that and you didn't watch the game, who was the MVP? Nick Foles. What? There's no way Nick Foles was MVP. 375 yards. And yes, Chris Bass, I'm being Rain Man this morning with all this stuff that I know. Like 375 yards. Well, how many did Tom Brady throw for? 505. For those of you watching, this was the look on her face. And she said the question I was waiting for her to say before I went to Starbucks for the day. How can Tom Brady throw for 500 yards and lose the Super Bowl? Oh, that's easy. He turned the ball over in the fourth quarter. He threw 2 picks.
Yeah.
And she goes, you didn't watch the game? No. You were at work? Yeah. Well, how do you know all this stuff? I just do, perhaps. Well, she figured out my secret that I looked it up on my phone and retained the necessary information.
What I find hilarious about that particular game is people were passionate about the fact that Brady threw for over 500 yards in a Super Bowl game.
Doesn't that remind you of somebody? Doesn't that remind you of somebody?
Mm-hmm. So he threw for 500 yards. Okay.
Did he lose? Did he win or lose?
What's the final score? Yeah. Did he win or lose? What's the final score? And I'd say, look, I will take the game. I would take the Super Bowl that he threw for less than 150 and
against
won.
St. Louis.
Yes.
And got them and
Then,
walked them down the field for a game-winning field
Yes.
goal. For a walk-off Super Bowl game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I will take that performance over the 500 yards he threw in this one and took an L.
Mm-hmm.
No. Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, Bradyites, but Montana did it for me. And the two biggest numbers are goose eggs. No interceptions, no losses in the Super Bowl. And by the way, Bradyites, Tom Brady never did this.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana, touchdown, John Taylor.
Brady never did that. Oh, sure, he led drives to 2 walk-off field goals, but he never had a walk-off touchdown in the Super Bowl. He had a walk-off touchdown. He didn't have a walk-off touchdown in the Super Bowl. Cool McCain said, happiest day of my life as an Eagles fan. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And McCain, Mr. McCool, there's something I need to send to you. I found a video with Merrill Reese and Harold Carmichael calling the game from U.S. Bank Stadium. I was so happy for Merrill Reese and Harold Carmichael. All right?
Definitely.
I will say this, as we're talking about the Cowboys here, and I got Steve Weed coming in 10 minutes. Sick Diggy says, who remembers Eli Manning and the New York Giants robbing Brady and the Patriots the chance of a perfect season? That wasn't, it was robbery because the Giants stole that from him. What did Joe Buck say? Burris alone, touchdown, New York. 17 points for the Giants in that game. You would think that with how powerful the Patriots offense was, that they'd score more than 14 points.
Yeah. You would think.
Cool McCain says, love that as well. So let's do this. Dear Chargers, please leave SoFi Stadium and go back home. If you haven't figured it out, you're not welcome there. And I don't mean by the fans. I mean by the higher-ups. You're a tenant in a stadium that was built for the Rams and the Raiders.
In a stadium that was built solely, almost, by Stan Kroenke's money.
Mm-hmm. So Kroenke's charging the Chargers a foot and a half, an arm and a leg and a foot and a half to rent a stadium that doesn't belong, that will never belong to them. I'm sorry. Did I make you choke up at that statement? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you almost did because I have a mea culpa that I have to put forth. So
go with it.
So I was upset at Kroenke for moving to LA and the way he did, and I still am a little upset about that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he was able to fleece the Chargers and the Spanos family and thinking that they was going to get a good deal in L.A. because they were so dissatisfied in San Diego, and now he gets to own a town, and not only does he own a town, but he gets to get paid off of the other team using his building.
Man,
boss move, sir. I got to give you credit for that, although I still think you suck for stiffing St. Louis. But
I
that still was a boss move.
I just wish San Diego would grow a set and say, "F you, we're going home. We're going home," because home for them is San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
This song right here. If I had a favorite team song besides the one they play for the Eagles, the Bears, and the 49ers, this one would be it.
San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers, San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers, Chargers. We're coming your way. We're gonna dazzle you with our play. The time has come. You know we're shooting for number one. With thunderbolts and lightning, we'll light up the sky. We'll give it all we've got and more with the Supercharger drive. Woo! San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers, San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers, Chargers.
You know what made it so bad? Whenever I would hear this song on NBC when they had a Chargers game on, I always wondered what it was. Now that I have it in its full form, San Diego Chargers just sounds better,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Well, that's where they belong. Look, I know. Look, and for those who want to get at me, look, I know the history of the Chargers. Yes, they began in L.A. I know they played a year in L.A.
But they
I understand
were
that.
in
But
San
the
Diego.
But the second year of its existence, they moved 130 miles south to San Diego, and they became at one with that city. And it's to the point where now, even years removed from them being away from that city, the Chargers being in Los Angeles is a wrong fit. You could see it. It's a wrong fit.
It
They
is a
fit San
horrible
Diego.
fit. They got new uniforms. They got new helmets. They should all be in San Diego. I'm sorry. They should all be in San Diego. Steve Weed will join us in a moment, but he had a suggestion for me. Since I'm playing team songs, anybody that's a fan of the Buffalo Bills knows this one.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout, yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. We got the spirit, shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
Now, who doesn't remember that from the K-Gun offense? Who doesn't remember that from the K-Gun offense? Steve, if you're ready, go ahead and ring in. Never heard of it. I interested. Never heard of it until now. Sick Diggy says the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s had great music. There was some truth in the lyrics. Damn straight. Damn straight. That one, the one I played before with San Diego. I told you I'd find it. Bear Down Chicago Bears. Heard that most of my life. Fly Eagles Fly. And Mr. McCain, I got an old version of Fly Eagles Fly for you. Matter of fact, before Steve, well, he's ringing in right now. I'm going to play something real quick for my bro, Mr. McCain. And it goes a little something like this. Mr. McCain, that's for you. Now we welcome our second guest of the day. He is the man in charge of Steve Weed Media. He is a video production and live stream professional, and I met him only last week. And I said, hey, hop on the show with me. He said, okay, let's do it. Stephen Weed is with me right now. Good morning, Stephen. Glad to have you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
How'd you get started? How did you get started in this crazy 21st century thing of live streaming and video production?
Yeah, well, my history actually goes well before the 21st century. We were streaming before it was convenient and easy for people to stream. So I grew up in a family business that revolved around video production that started in the 90s. My dad was doing stock car racing and using different pieces of equipment in ways that they shouldn't have been used, but it worked. We were using Amiga Commodore PCs to do like graphic overlays and
I love it.
Things like that. Yeah, so I mean that's the environment that I grew up in, and then kind of fast forward a little bit. I mean, this is before YouTube, this is before cell phones, Facebook, all of that. So it was kind of a novelty. People would look at what my dad was doing and say, that's cool. It's a postage stamp sized video, but you can see it and it's cool, but nobody's ever going to watch video on the internet. Now those people are eating humble pie, but that's the environment that I grew up in, and that was in New York. So around 2016, I had been working for my dad for a long time, and I wanted to see what I could do on my own. So I bought my own gear and accumulated enough stuff that I thought I could do something. And I sent it out to Colorado Springs, where I started a business from scratch. Never had been here, never had visited, didn't know anybody, had no contacts, but I had enough ambition for two people, and just started sending emails, cold calls, demos, whatever I could do to get my foot in the door. And 5 years later, the lights are still on.
I'm so happy that you said that, because that's how I am, and that's how I am going to be when I get done beating cancer and my family and I move west, getting our foot in the door. On Tap Podcast Network got our foot in the door there. I just wish you had some people here that could help me with what I'm doing. You shoot Colorado College, do you not?
I do. Yep. For the last few years, since 2017, I've been working with CC, and now I'm also working with the Mountain West Conference, which oversees all of the Mountain West Division sports. In a couple weeks, we've got a 3-day indoor track and field championships event that I'm going to be producing, which will be one of the larger events that I've ever done. We'll have 12 to 16 cameras, a bunch of camera guys. It's 3 days of track and field craziness. So I'm really looking forward to that.
What's a game day like for you? Take us through a game day with Steve Weed Media. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. And that all kind of applies to the different sports. Since we're talking football, we had some of the Buffalo Bills hopping now tunes on earlier. So if we're talking football, it kind of starts the days prior. We'll start a few days prior, getting the run a show developed, working up the graphics for the specific teams. Talking with any of the production people that we need to talk to as far as like any storylines we need to go over. And then come the day of the game, it's 5-6 hours before kickoff. You're at the field or the arena or whatever you're in, setting up the equipment, doing all the testing, getting the graphics prepped, getting the live stream encoder prepped, doing some tests, making sure the audio sounds good, making sure the internet's solid. And then if you do your job right, you might have some time to kill and just kind of do some other things prep-wise, maybe get something to eat real quick. And then the game starts, and then you're off and running. I'm always about getting early and waiting around. I'd much rather do that than try to save a couple hours on the front end and then scramble towards the beginning of the game. So I've learned my lesson the hard way and done it that way and gotten screwed. You make some mistakes or the technology just isn't working for you that day. So I tend to get there pretty early, and then, if you got everything set up, you can just kind of coast through and then start the game. So then you do all the post-game stuff, post-game interviews, highlight reels, whatever your client might need after the fact. And then it's kind of rinse and repeat. You take a couple days off, and then you kind of get back into the swing for the next week.
Yeah, that's how it is with me. Since we're talking football, this is my football prep weekend. Like you, it starts early in the week. It starts Monday. Say I have a Friday night game. It starts Monday because I'm talking to both of the coaches by Wednesday, taping their interviews for my pregame show, getting rosters, filling out my charts, my spot charts, jotting down storylines. And by Friday, when I get to, use an example, Friday when I get to Ames Field, and my wife is there with me as my spotter and as my statistician, I'm just waiting for 6 o'clock Central Time so I can press a button and run my pregame show, because I put it together, secret being known, I put it together by Wednesday night and just save it and have everything ready and load it into my sound chart. But I make sure my spot charts are done. And like you, I've scrambled before. Like I would arrive 20 minutes prior to a game, and 15 of those 20 minutes I'm setting up. I said, the hell with that. I got to get there early. So for a 7 o'clock game, I'm there at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, setting things up, testing it. Most of the time it's audio for me, and I'm the only one there. I'm the only one on the call. Set up, test it, run it, make sure the music comes in, make sure you have everything connected. And it involves, you can speak on this, it involves a couple of tests before you go, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. I mean, being prepared, I can't say enough for, the preparedness and doing the things ahead of time and taking that time, because, a lot of times, at least for me, it's not always compensated. It's part of the job, but it's on you to decide when you do that work. The client doesn't care if you do it the day of or a week before, but at some point that work has to be done. So you kind of got to take it upon yourself to go through the motions and do the prep work early. And, being prepared, it shows. It shows in your broadcast. It shows in your demeanor when your crew shows up and you're, not sweating bullets and looking crazy because you've already done all the work and you're ready to go. But yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of people outside of the video production industry or, podcasting or whatever, anything technology related, they don't understand or realize that technology can work against you for no reason at all. I've done broadcasts where I've tested it 3 days before, and I get there and it's the same setup, the same gear. All I did was pack it up and move it, and it doesn't work. And there's a problem, and there's an issue, and it's unexplainable. My dad called them gremlins. He said, "Oh, the gremlins are out today."
Yep.
And you knew it was like, "Oh crap, we've got some issues," and it's unexplainable. And then the next week everything's fine again.
Yeah.
Just to echo your point of being prepared, when you have that extra time, when the gremlins show up, you have the time to beat them back and figure it out, and make sure that your broadcast doesn't suffer because of it.
Right.
Because quite frankly, the people at home, the audience watching, they don't care. They don't care what kind of issues you had. They want to have a solid broadcast, and whatever it takes to deliver that, that's on you as the professional. So, it's one of those things that now I kind of take pride in, as far as, being prepared, showing up early. I'm one of those guys that's like 10 minutes early is on time, so and that's kind of my reputation here, is just, if for whatever crazy, random, rare reason I am a few minutes late, people are like, "Wow, I can't believe you're a few minutes late, Steve. You're always early. You're always early." So it's one of those things where you just start to do it that way, and after a long time, it's just how it goes. So I mean, anybody that's thinking about getting into the industry or is currently in it and doesn't do it that way, you may want to consider and just try it and just see if it helps your workflow.
Well, if any of y'all listening in Colorado Springs are not familiar with Steve Weed Media, I suggest you get familiar. The man does some great work. I'll share a funny basketball story before you take off. I was covering Marquette Catholic basketball in 2016. especially the girls team. They were headed to the state tournament. I got to the Shoals Center very early, like about 4:30 for a 7 o'clock tip. Got there, set everything up, tested it. It was ready to roll, and I take off my headset, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go downstairs and take a walk, because if I sit in this position, I know I'm going to hurt. I was way up in the stands. I come back, and I reach over and I try to test everything, and everything's turned off. And I'm like, what happened? Well, little kid, unfortunately and accidentally unplugged everything. And once I figured it out, I didn't panic, I didn't scramble, and the young fellow who did it said, "Oh, I thought no one was using it. I didn't see everything over there." And I said, "You want to hop on the air with me?" And his eyes go, "What? Yeah, want to do a test with me?" Yeah. I had him for about 20 minutes. His mom was watching, his dad was watching, and as soon as we did the test run, and his dad says, "You're not mad at him for unplugging your setup? Did he know where my setup was?" No. Question answered. And he said, "Okay."
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Equipment can go crazy on you. But if you're there early, if you get there early and you handle your business early, then there's going to be virtually no issues. Stephen Weed joining us here this morning from Stephen Weed Media out of Colorado Springs. If you hadn't had a chance to look him up, I say looking up, follow him at Steve Weed Media. Want to get some video production done? You can trust this man to do so and to have a great job doing it. Steve, thank you so much for coming on, my man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'd love to hop back on anytime. So
you
thanks
will.
Again.
You got it. Thank you, sir. Stephen Weed of Stephen Weed Media joining us this morning here on Snowman in the Morning. And how many times have we said, be prepared? CJ, how many times have we said, be prepared? I may not have Cole Johnson on for a little bit. I'll get him back on here. Be prepared is the motto that I go by. And like Steve, I've made some horrible, horrible mistakes early on. Horrible. Like being there, 20 minutes prior to game time when my requirement was 1 hour. I always blamed it on travel issues. I didn't have a car. Nah, no excuses. If you're required to be there 20 minutes prior, if you're required to be there an hour prior to showtime, then you're going to be there an hour prior to showtime. Period. You're just going to be there, and you're going to find a way there. That's it. You will find a way there. And I tell you, when I was at Chicago State, I went through some problems. I was going through some issues, but they didn't care. They basically said, look, if you want to do this, you have to commit to doing it. And that phrase never left my head. If you're going to do this, you have to commit to doing it. As a friend of mine says, either you're on or you're off. And that's the dead honest truth. So since then, in 2000, at Chicago State, I began shaping my game up. More to the point, I began stepping my game up. Which means shirts and ties, which means slacks, which means better shoes and not gym shoes. I had to clean up my act. I surely had to clean up my act. I had to look the part as well as play it. And at the time, that was tough for me because I was so down with everything that was going on. And here's the funny part. I was living in Minnesota at the time. I was living in Minnesota, and I had to travel from Minnesota to Chicago for all my Chicago State games or to wherever they were playing on the road. So I had a lot of money invested into it also. I worked at Camp Snoopy at the time at the Mall of America. Put in my 40 hours. Whenever there's a game, I get approved for time off, and I'd go take care of business. There was one day or one morning where I knew I was going to be late. So I called in. I said, I'm going to be late today. I called in to my boss at Camp Snoopy, and I said, I'm going to be late today because I'm stuck on a bus in Chicago, and we've had an ice warning. So we're not allowed to leave yet. And he said, take it. Take the day off. Wound up staying in Chicago for 3 full days because I used some more time off. And the second of those 3 days had a game at Chicago State. And that was easy to take care of. I got a hotel. I cleaned myself up, went and took care of business, came back. So to prevent things going wrong, I say all that to say, make sure you're early. Because if you're early, then you're on time. The late, great Alex Fleming said that. If you're on time, you're late. I'll repeat his quote in full. Quote, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Close quote. Well, I've made it a habit to be on time. To be everywhere. To be on time wherever I'm going, especially when I'm on assignment. I get to the point where it's me being 2 hours early to an assignment before I think of anything else. If I get there 2 hours prior, I'm good. Sometimes it's 3, especially if you're working with somebody and they're supposed to hook you up and they don't. And I got a funny story about that. When I was down in North Carolina, and Cole Johnson is back with us. When I was in North Carolina, I was invited by a network to cover a game, to do play-by-play for a game. I said, all right, so I'm thinking I'll go with my rules and be there 2 hours early. So I left knowing I had an hour drive. And the fellow that was in charge was blowing up my phone going, when are you going to get here? When are you going to get here? As I'm getting out of my car. As I'm grabbing my equipment. As I'm coming upstairs into the booth. But even before I got upstairs to the booth, I got stopped. And the guy that was in charge was looking for a roster. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, dude, I already have the roster. Yeah, but we need one for the booth. Have you ever gotten a feeling if you hear a comment like that, it's going to be one of those kind of nights?
Yeah.
And it was one of those kind of nights. He kept stepping on me. In terms of anybody who's done play-by-play or anyone who's done a radio show, you get the idea what that means. He kept interrupting me.
Yeah. You didn't have room to breathe. Yeah.
Basically. Andrew says Tom Coughlin employed that philosophy with the Giants. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Vince Lombardi was the first to employ that. Sick Diggy from earlier. I got a song from soccer. In the English Premier League, Liverpool's FC faithful sing Jerry and the Pacemakers, You'll Never Walk Alone before every game. The motto is even on the team's emblem. Gotta love that. Now I got to look that song up or it's going to drive me crazy. But yeah, it was one of those kind of nights where he kept stepping on me. And I thought I was the lead announcer for that game. Nope. I wasn't.
No, you didn't tell me that.
He invited me to cover the game. He invited me to do play-by-play for the game, but I didn't get much in. The only quarter I got was
announcer for it. Wow.
Yeah, the only quarter I got almost free and clear was the third quarter. And the only part of the third quarter that I got that was free and clear was the opening drive.
So one drive of a quarter.
Every other time I did play-by-play, I got one play in, and then the guy would step on me. And Trisha Bray Smith says, good morning. Good morning, Trish. Good to have you. But I hate. You know what? My grandmother used to say, hate is a strong word. You can't do that. Yeah, I'll use it here. I hate when people try to put me in a damn box.
Hate is a strong word, but sometimes
it
that word
works.
applies. Mm-hmm.
Well, it works here. I hate when people try to put me in a damn box.
Mm. Yeah, it really sucks.
And you know what the crazy part is? They keep trying to put me in a damn box.
Mm.
They keep trying to put us in a damn box. There, how's that?
Good, let them.
Mm-hmm. And tomorrow we're going to talk all the coaching hires and the craziness within. But just wanted to just step out and have some viewers take over and just have some fun today.
Good.
Just wanted to have some fun today. And thank you to everyone that called us on YouTube, that called us on Facebook, and was interactive with Sick Diggy, my good buddy, Andrew, and Trisha Brace Smith, Cool McCain joining us. Let me see. Hey, McCain, if you're still listening, this is for you. When Cole was away for a year, all I kept thinking,
that's all I can stand. I can't stand no more.
Then he reappeared, and I love his content. So if y'all haven't had a chance, subscribe to Cole Johnson on YouTube, where you get the full 60-minute version of Cole Sports, the classiest show on the planet, and you'll get Cole Sports on the daily. I close with this. I've had things said to me. I've had things I've wanted and wished for. And in the immortal words of Christopher Mad Dog Russo from a very famous rant, this is all I was thinking.
What time? Not 20. One lousy goddamn time.
Sorry about that. That's the unedited version.
Mm.
But you know what? Screw it.
What time? Not 20. One lousy goddamn time.
That was, of course, his famous rant about the San Francisco Giants in 2003. And Trisha Brace Smith says, awesome, thanks. Sick Diggy says, what in the name of Tim Tebow are fools thinking when they try to put anyone in a box? I will answer that with one word: control. And no, this ain't Janet Jackson's version of it either. When you figure out how to shred that box, blow it to smithereens, and just go with it, that's when you beat the person that tried to put you in the box, and that is when you beat the box up, period. We've been hodgepodging everything here in the second half of the show. Love it. And the folks that have been interacting with us, thank you 1,000 times over. Are you familiar with the movie Shawshank Redemption?
You're asking me that question?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm extremely familiar with that movie.
The closing goes very simple. Get busy living
or get busy dying.
That's goddamn right. We choose to get busy living. I have stopped choosing to get busy dying. I got ailments that people wouldn't understand. And I'm going to beat them all. I'm going to kick them all out of my system.
That's right.
Mental and physical. Let me say that again for those of you that won't get it. Mental and physical, I plan to defeat all of my ailments at and beyond the age of 50. Now, I can't wait to see 50. I am in control of what I do. I am in control of what I put in and let out of my body. And since I am in control, I have been doing a lot of research on how to kick type 2 diabetes in the ass for a third time and how to get this cancer out of my system and make sure it doesn't come back. May have taken my parents, may have taken some members of my family, may have taken some very, very dear friends, including Corey Miggins. Dear cancer, you ain't taking my ass. I got too much to do and I got too much to live for. I have a beautiful wife, I have a wonderful family, I have grandchildren, and they all want to see me. They want to see this attitude, doggone it. And to all the people that have tried to put me in a box several times over, you see the remnants at your feet? Those are the remnants of the box that you tried to put me in. Those are the remnants of the claustrophobic nature you tried to put me in, physically or mentally, and emotionally. Because there are people right now that I've shooed out of my life that are trying to kick the door down to get back in it. And when I swing with a roundhouse kick, I wind up kicking them in the head. Sick Dicky says, growing up, I had to battle people trying to put me in a box. Growing up in an African community, it was conformity or be ostracized for standing out. Let me read that again. And Sick Diggy, thank you for this. It was conform or be ostracized for standing out. The same applies to a Southsider from Chicago. I had so many people in high school calling me a nerd, it's not even funny.
Oh, they compliment you.
Yeah. Now it's one of the biggest compliments.
Mm-hmm.
Because my beautiful wife puts her arms around me every day and said, I love you, my favorite nerd. Calls me a nerd. She calls me her dragon. The most important thing, she calls me her husband. Yeah. Let me say that last one again. She calls me a nerd. She calls me her dragon. And the best part about all this, she calls me her husband. Sick Diggy says, I either had a chainsaw or at least a small axe every time they put me in a box. Yep, so you can chop that sumbitch down. So you can whack that sumbitch out. And Trisha Bray Smith sent me a $10 donation. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. And thank you to all the folks on YouTube that have listened today and have subscribed and liked. I think we found something. I think we got something going here.
Good.
And you, my friend, are a big part of it. I'll say it. I'll close the show the way I opened it. Cole Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the biggest reasons of why I love doing this for 120 minutes every morning. He's the compliment that I have long needed, but was too stubborn to see for a while. Just remembering all the phone calls we would have that would last a couple of hours. Why can't we turn this into a lunchroom conversation for 120 minutes every day? And I also need to thank the folks at On Tap Podcast Network for saying, you know what? you're going to be our anchor show. And we got some sponsors coming. So to Danny Bennett and that bunch, thank you humbly. And thank you very, very kindly. Our time is up, but we'll be at it tomorrow talking a lot more football. Coaching hires, coaching fires, who should go where. And yes, not one, but two bronzexual confessions. Till tomorrow, for Cole Johnson and everybody that signed in and listened to us and watched us on YouTube, we thank you. Thank you to the folks at On Tap Podcast Network. And thank you to the folks on Facebook that watched as well. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to